Welcome back, Whole Woman listeners. I'm your host, Rachel,
And I'm Kim.
and today we are going to break down gut health for you. Are you so excited?
So excited.
I thought you would be. I mean, this is a topic we both love to talk about. We talk about it a lot, but I think the interesting part of gut health is that tells you all kinds of things that are going on in your body. And it starts with the things that you're eating. So we just wanted to break it down and have a friendly conversation about gut health. Kim and I both have gut issues. So mine are more recent. Kim's are a little not so recent, but you still have to kind of pay attention to what you're eating to monitor that, right? And
Yes, I do.
now and now I have to monitor that. So we're going to talk about all things gut health today.
Absolutely. Mine started a long time ago.
And refresh the audience's
Yeah.
yeah.
For a long time, I just ate whatever I wanted to. It didn't really matter. And after I had my second son, one day I just was feeling terrible, very off, lots of stomach pains, and the doctor's first thought was, oh, you're ovulating, or you have a cyst, or whatever the case may be. And it went on for a couple more days, and I got progressively more and more sick. And as it turns out, I had diverticulitis. And as a 30-year-old woman, which is not typical, because if you have it at that stage, you're going to have it again and again and again and again and again, right? It's not something that you take a pill and it goes away.
Mm,
So I ended up having a colon resection where they took out 9 inches of my colon, and I moved on without any issues. No more diverticulitis, no more problems, no more pain. Everything seemed fine. But the doctor did warn me, those who are prone to it could happen again, even though they had taken out that damaged area. So I've
right,
I've been much more aware of my diet since that time, even though I maybe wasn't as focused on super healthy things when I was 30. I still knew that I needed fiber and I needed to pay attention to some different foods that could irritate me. And that's when I became aware of gut health. And back then, people didn't talk about probiotics and prebiotics and all that stuff. It was just fiber, 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 right?
right,
Um, but yeah, things have evolved quite a lot. And now gut health is something we talk about. You hear about it every day.
right. But I think it's also we're finally paying the price for all the high processed and ultra
Mhm.
processed foods that we've eaten our whole life.
Yeah.
And your body is always sending you signals, always sending you messages. And
Mhm.
whether we choose to pay attention to that is up to the individual.
Mhm.
And so the more that we eat foods that our bodies just can't process or have a difficulty processing, that's when, I mean, I don't, we can list symptoms all day long.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think you know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, and the thing I wanted to add into that is sometimes people live on a diet where food doesn't need to be processed at all. And our bodies were created to do a certain thing, and digestion starts when you start chewing, and it moves through your stomach, and you need stomach acid. And so many people in a world full of stress and high cortisol levels and heartburn. So many people are on proton pump inhibitors and all of those things, like I can't think of the name, Pepsid AC or whatever those things are.
Hmm.
They all serve a purpose, right?
Yep.
But they serve a purpose that's intended to be like treated and remedied in 2 weeks' time. You're not supposed to be on a proton pump inhibitor for 15 years or 30
Right.
years or 60 years, right? I
Right.
mean, your body is created to need stomach acid.
Yep.
And when you don't have stomach acid, then things don't get digested and they move farther on down the road. And then you end up with things like SIBO or small intestinal bacterial overload, or you end up with no gut critters.
Yeah.
And it's so hard. But in a world where we ate real food every day, people didn't have these issues. So this is a relatively new concern. I think,
Mm.
for our population. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes and no. I mean, now I look back on my family history, and even my ex-husband had stomach issues and used those over-the-counter things to make him feel better. And then when I went in and I had my thingy over last summer, it's just like it's crazy how long your body tries and tries and tries to protect you and do the right thing for you. But sometimes we're just not giving it the right thing and it has no choice but to shut down.
Right, right. And shutdown looks so different for different people. It can be, like you were saying, it can be constipation, it can be bloating, it can be just discomfort, it can be pain that's so profound and bloating that's so profound it sends you to the hospital. Or it can just be this chronic nagging. I mean, I know people who have come to a point in their life where they're like, okay, we're going to get really personal here, but like they only go to the bathroom once a week. And
Yeah, I've heard that before.
I mean, that's crazy in my mind. So anyway, so we wanted to talk about good gut health and we're talking about bad gut health. So, what are the things that a person needs in their everyday diet or in their everyday life that promotes good gut health? And it's more things that can contribute to good gut health than you would think.
Hmm.
The natural response is to go right to food, right?
Hmm.
So high fiber, low sugar, low
Protein.
processed, and things like you and I were talking about, things that are naturally rich in prebiotics or probiotics,
Yeah,
things like kefir and fermented foods and stuff. Do you intentionally add pre and probiotic foods to your diet, or do you
I
just
do now.
what are the your favorite additions since you had your stomach problems last summer?
Um, love that I have gotten a little more creative with potatoes because potatoes are super high in potassium, which I need. I start my day now with a banana. Make homemade a smoothie from kefir. So then I drink that pre or post workout. So I do have a little, I try to have a little bit every day. And the electrolytes I add to my water. Now that I know I need potassium and electrolytes to make my bowels do what they're supposed to do, I will find a way to get that into my diet every day.
Mm-hmm. And for me, I make a point. I eat vegetables, fruit or vegetables at every single meal throughout the day. I mean, not both. Like sometimes I have a salad for breakfast, but I make sure that I have something with the peel, with fiber that my body loves every single day.
Hmm.
I have started eating fermented things, sauerkraut, and even sourdough has good critters in it.
Yeah.
The kefir and some good yogurts. It's really pretty easy to keep putting health enhancing things into your diet, you know?
Yeah, I think part of it is, and unfortunately, because we are all taught such lies about food. I mean, I don't know if you believe this one, but for the longest time, it's like a potato's a carb, carbs are fattening. We don't need those at every meal. But potatoes offer so many other nutrients and they are good for you. And I am combining them with veggies and protein and eating. I'm doing my best to make my plate look more like a rainbow. Like I'm adding things in that I ignored for many, many years, but protein and veg are kind of my standards that I have every for dinner. And but to add like some mashed potato that I made myself, or a baked potato that I made myself, or any kind of potato. I mean, I've gone crazy with potatoes. They're so good, like crispy, like fingerlings. Oh yeah, those are fun. But to have that as a side once or twice a week to make sure that I'm taking care of my gut health, I'm fine with that.
Hmm.
But the next thing that we have to talk about that, and I don't want to rush you if you're not done talking about food, but that component of movement that is so valuable to keeping your gut doing what it's supposed to do. I mean, I can't stress that enough.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. I mean, like if there were three things that a person could do today to try to make things better, right? I mean, just to you're committed to making your gut health better. Movement would be one of the three for me.
Mhm,
Food would be one of the three
mhm.
because, you know, you put the right foods in, you make sure you have fiber, it's whole nutritious food, and then you add the movement in right there. That might cause movement of its own. And then the third thing I would add would be water, like real water.
Yeah,
Add electrolytes, sure. Add some lemon, some flavor, whatever. But our bodies they need food, they need water, and they need movement every day.
yeah,
And if a
absolutely.
person were to do those three things, I don't know that they would have struggles with good gut health.
Well,
I mean,
well,
there are some issues that come up. I understand that. And that's like a great start
you're right.
to, yeah.
You're right. It doesn't hurt, it helps. I
Mhm.
think there are some gut issues. Obviously, you and I are not doctors, that we can't see inside our bodies, and that if you have had an experience with your gut, you do have to be a little bit more mindful. But you're right. I think those three components, since doing them on a more consistent basis since August, I feel so much better. I mean, I didn't realize like how heavy I was feeling just in my gut. It was just heavy, heavy, heavy. And
Mhm.
I would sit and my stomach would just like, it would be painful. And I ignored it. And then my body said, yeah, you can't ignore this anymore.
Mhm.
And because I was missing those few components, the potassium and the electrolytes, that my body just couldn't withstand it anymore. And I will say that it's so crazy because, again, I don't eat out a lot and I don't eat ultra processed foods. So this has still happened to me based on a whole food diet. It
Mhm.
was just a few nutrients that I was not eating.
And sometimes it can be the little things that you are eating. Like before I started journaling and really keeping track of what I was eating, I worked in a restaurant. I probably had one or two sodas a day. I chewed gum on a regular basis.
Hmm.
And there was one other thing I was going to tell you. Oh, I loved like certain kinds of yogurt that might have been more candy than yogurt, like an inferior quality of dairy products. And
Mm.
I walked around tooting all the time, just
Yeah.
like the little engine that could. It's like toot, toot, toot. Everywhere I go, I'm tooting. And it wasn't offensive. It wasn't loud. It wasn't anything, but I knew it was there. When I finally went and received my nutrition certification, I took a special course in gut health and so many things I didn't know. I didn't
Hmm.
know that chewing gum
Hmm.
like pumps air into your stomach. I didn't know that sometimes really sugar overload creates a yeast that undoes the good. Like we all have good critters in our bowels and throughout our body, but we have good bacteria. But
Yeah.
sometimes like high sugar, if a person consumes a lot of sugar, it will offset and it'll actually kill that bacteria, and you'll have a yeast overgrowth, which causes, you know, bloating and tooting and all kinds of disruption. So the soda was there. That was a big thing. After I had my bout in the hospital with my diverticulitis, I came out and soda didn't taste as good. I mean, I gave up the soda. I quit chewing gum because they told me to, and I switched to a lower sugar yogurt and some hard cheeses and things that promote
Hmm.
good gut health. And lo and behold, tooting went away. It's crazy.
So long toots.
Right,
You
right.
know, you
I
bring up
mean,
a really good point, though. I just want to say now that you're mentioning all the foods that promote good gut health are mainly foods that women shy away from because they think they're unhealthy or fattening.
mhm,
And I think a lot of women our age and older have gut issues because they still have that diet mindset and they still have that restrictive mindset. And if you're avoiding a certain food because you think it's too caloric or it's going to cause you to gain weight, maybe reassess and figure out what benefits does it have. And I don't think that people sit down to a meal of all cheese every day. I think the worries and the things that we grow up with and we have in our head is like you're not really eating like that anyway. So if you have a couple of cubes of cheese to promote good gut health at dinner or at lunch or as a snack once or twice a week, that's not going to send you off the rails.
And some of the things that people do thinking that it's a good diet mentality, like, oh, go drink a big glass of water before you sit down for your meal, that can actually undo good gut health because you've dumped all of this. Not, I mean, water's good, right? We've already discussed water's good for you.
Yeah,
But filling your belly with water and then eating a meal on top of it, you've diluted all that acid, and sometimes that promotes the whole discomfort as well.
for
So,
sure.
yeah, I learned in my last certification that you really should drink your water throughout the day. You shouldn't concentrate it at a meal time. So,
Right. Right.
yeah, there's just so many little tips and tricks that a person can do to establish good gut health and feeling good, but you
Uh-huh.
got to pay attention. And if something throws you off whack, man, give it up for a little while and see if that was the cause, don't you think?
Absolutely. And sometimes still, if I'm not feeling 100%, I've learned to just pull back my food during the day and maybe have just one meal. So stick with my kefir, stick with my water, have a banana. But if I'm asking my body, which might already be feeling like it's an overdrive, and then just adding so much food to it, that can send it in a different direction. So I've learned that maybe even having some bone broth for a meal to calm my body down
Mm.
and still give me some nutrients. I'm
Yep.
not starving myself. I refuse to ever do that again. But to pull back on the solid food until I feel normal,
Mhm.
I'm okay with that.
Yep. Yep. I think it's important to really talk about some good eating practices, and you bring up one of those. Honor what your body's asking for. I mean, I think it's really important to not just eat because, and you
Hmm.
don't have to go with the flow. If you had something planned or if you're going out, you can always change your course based on how you're feeling today. Honor that. But I think it's also important to recognize the importance of eating regularly.
Mm,
We've discussed a million times that there's no right way to eat, but there's the right way for you. And I know you are pretty faithful to like 3 meals and maybe a snack. At least when we talked before, when we first started up, before you had gone into the hospital.
mhm.
Is this still that way for you now? Have you fallen back into that routine?
Not really. It's changed for me a little bit. I
Yeah.
definitely start my day with breakfast and I definitely have dinner, but the daytime has changed. If I'm hungry, I will eat, honey.
Hmm.
But if I feel like I'm okay with just a banana and a glass full of kefir, then I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And my body feels best if I'm 3 meals. Like I do breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but then if I'm tired or if I'm just feeling exhausted, or if I'm not recovering, or if I have a cold coming on, I might have a snack, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I've tried to listen more, but I think regular eating for you is important. Um, I think it's important to chew. And when I say that, I don't mean like the whole trick that my mom used to do where it's like, oh, chew everything 20 bites before you swallow. But I think that we've gotten into such a rush in our world.
Mm.
People sometimes eat standing up. People eat in the car all the time. And I think it's like, oh, I've got to have lunch, but I only have 5 minutes. So when we talk about chewing, it really is like just taking the time to eat.
Hmm.
Um, and if you're going to eat a meal, give yourself time to chew, to enjoy, to process it. Don't like try to get that burger in 2 bites.
I have to remind myself of that sometimes. If I let myself get a little too hungry, I'm like a friggin' wolfing it in, and I have to be reminded to take human bites. But uh, the chewing thing, yes, you're right. Chewing is important, but there's also just like every other diet out there. I read once someone was suggesting that you take a bite and you set your fork and knife down every time. I
Mm,
wanted to throttle that person. I'm like, really?
yeah. Yeah.
Because again, I do hear with what you're saying, but you do have to accept somebody's lifestyle too. And if they have to eat lunch at their desk, that's fine, but what are you eating? You know, how are you eating? How are you feeling when you're eating? Those things, once it becomes like I'm paying attention to it, then you acknowledge and you feed your body appropriately. It doesn't have to be a constant thought. It becomes your second nature. But if you're relearning how to have a good relationship with food and how to enjoy food, then there is an adjustment period to that.
Yep, yep. I just had this little visual dancing around in my head, like a whole hamburger in your belly versus a chewed up hamburger in your belly. One's obviously going to break down a little bit easier. So,
Yeah.
um, you know, the other thing that I think really helps is when people eat a sort of a variety in their diet. Some people, especially when I had the gym, and people were really focused on losing weight, they would eat the same thing every day because it was easy and because it was working.
Uh-huh.
And again, that's fine. And we're not here to point a finger at anything. But if you can throw in, 5 or 6 different vegetables over the course of a week, or you can
Mhm.
throw in some different, like you said, you have an apple drawer. I love that. But also maybe throw in some pineapple or some oranges. Everything has its own little bit of fiber, so mix it up once in a while.
Oh my God, I had the best fruit this weekend. Pineapple, cantaloupe, watermelon, because I was in Arizona.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So, all the fruits were just so juicy and so good. I literally had a plate of pineapple at brunch. I'm like, I'm good.
Oh, when it's good. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah,
Oh.
I think I told you I found this bag of freeze-dried pineapple at Costco.
Hmm,
So it's literal freeze-dried chunks of pineapple. They're very thick and dense, and you pop one in your mouth, and it tastes like fresh pine. All the ingredients are, it's just pineapple. It's nothing else.
that's crazy.
Yeah, and it's Branch Town or Branch something. Branch Works is the brand.
Huh,
But anyways,
have to check it out.
it's good stuff.
So, what about when your diet doesn't get it all done? Because there are people who are busy, or there are, like some of us are raising kids or, helping with the grandkids, and you can't always get 6 or 7 different vegetables over the course of the week, or whatever the case may be. So, do you take any supplements? I know you mentioned that you take an electrolyte
hmm
powder, right?
Yeah, I add that to my water. Yeah.
Yep, yep. Any other supplements that you take?
No.
Okay. We were discussing before we started recording that after my surgery, they had recommended that I supplement with fiber. And so I did that for a while, but anyone out there who has ever done like a fiber supplement, you know that it's just awful to try to choke down. So I have settled into a really great routine with a probiotic that also has a prebiotic with it.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I just take it every morning when I start the day.
So just in case our listeners are unfamiliar with those terms, explain what a pre and probiotic. What's the difference?
Well, probiotics are critters that are like good bacteria that live in your gut, and they just help further break down food and really aid in digestion. Prebiotics are what the probiotics also consume to keep them healthy and thriving, right? So every living organism needs something to eat. A probiotic's preferred choice of food is going to be a prebiotic, and prebiotics come from things like fermented foods, fiber, the kefir, the sauerkraut, uh,
hmm
peels, potato skins. All of those things are really great sources of of nutrients that the probiotics eat. And
Got
sometimes when people are really off the rails and sick or have been on high doses of antibiotics for a while, they'll give them super probiotics at the hospital or the doctor will prescribe them for home use. And they reinfest your gut, I guess, is the best way of establish a hold again of probiotics. But then
hmm
you want to maintain that. And so you have to keep
Right.
eating the things to keep the critters alive and doing their thing. Yeah. And you could take it, I take it in pill form. Some people, if you're super great with your nutrition, you can get your prebiotics and probiotics through your diet. I don't take any chances with the diverticulitis. And so
Of course.
I take a good quality pill every morning. And
Well, maybe you'll add that one into the
yep,
show notes so
yep.
people. Now, do yours have to be refrigerated?
They don't have to be. I do.
hmm
Um, I just keep them there. So when I open the fridge in the morning to get a new glass of water, it's just there staring me in the face. So it's more a reminder for me.
Okay.
And you mentioned magnesium, which really supports digestion and also helps with stress, which is a big culprit in causing digestive issues and things, right? So how do you get your magnesium?
Um, to be honest, I don't know. I mean, I try to get all my nutrients from food, but I think my big issue with supplements are, and it's that they're made in places where they just make everything. And the content of your supplement is in question. So
Mhm.
you really have to do some research to find out what am I taking? Where is it being manufactured? I mean, how good is it really?
Right.
And I just read something that kind of makes sense. It's like if you're taking a multivitamin, you're not getting enough of all the things that it contains that you should take the individual supplement, like vitamin D, E, whatever you are trying to get in this one pill, it's never going to be enough.
Gotcha. Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
hmm
I've started taking a magnesium supplement at night. It's just this nice kind of cocoa flavored thing.
hmm
And uh, I kind of thought like you, oh, I don't know if I believe this, but I'm having some of the best sleep of my life. And it's become like this comforting little go to sleep ritual. I make a little cup of cocoa and drink it about half an hour before bed, and I'm sleeping really well, but I know the magnesium is good for me.
hmm
And so it doesn't worry me that I'm doing this every night. Just like with the
Right.
probiotics, I don't think it can do me harm. So
Right.
I continue to do that. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just all a matter of getting comfortable with what your routine is. And I think that the more that you do a little bit of research prior to just popping any kind of pill, that's just where I come from.
Yep. Yep. I agree. If you can get it from food, that's the way to do it. All right, friend. Well, we've talked about a lot of things. We always seem to just cram a ton of things into this short little 20, 30-minute conversation that we have every week. And but again, I hope that there's something out there that someone listens to and thinks, "Oh, I could do that."
Absolutely. We are just here to help y'all.
Yes, yes. All right, friends. Well, we will drop some name brands and some different things in the show notes for you. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment or ask a question. We would love to be talking about what you want to hear about.
Absolutely. Give us a shout out on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram under the Whole Woman Podcast. We read all the notes and all the topic suggestions, so feel free to add yours.
All right, friend. I will see you again next week.
Mwah, love you, Kimmy.
Bye.